What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I wanted to talk about the upcoming artifact mods coming in Revenant next week, the new episode. So there was a developer live stream today, and they showcased all but these top two mods, which was unfortunate. I think they meant to, but for some reason they cut away. So anyways, those will be featured in the TWID, but we can still talk about the other 23 that are coming. And then of course there'll be new ones in Act 2 and Act 3, which you can see are like 40 and 50 days apart. So we've got Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle, Polaris Lance will be back on the menu, but the big one will be Wicked Implement. This is a very stasis focused artifact, and Wicked Implement can slow, which is good against overloads. It can then freeze, which is good against unstoppables, and now it will also be able to take on anti-barriers, or barrier champions I should say. So yeah, it's going to be really, really good, and it has Headstone if you have the catalyst. So yeah, it'll be really, really good. Overload SMG. Osteostriga in the past has been really good with Overload SMG, so that could be really good, as well as like whatever you want to run. But yeah, Striga has always been good with that. Then we have Unstoppable Pulse Rifle. So yeah, stuff like Graviton Lance or whatever will be good. Anti-Barrier Shotgun. Now, I've been playing this game literally since it came out. I don't think we've ever had Anti-Barrier Shotgun, so that's interesting. And we've also never had Overload Grenade Launcher. I'm not sure what they're doing there. I do think they go back to it later, but this is Overload Breach Grenade Launcher. So it's only for breach loaded GLs, which you could see in the gameplay. So I'm at 2015, look, overload here, but then they have a GL here, and it does not overload. So it's only breach grenade launchers. So I just wanted to point that out. Then we have one with Frost. While Frost Armor is active, Stasis weapons gain increased reload speed and stability. Stasis swords gain increased guard resistance. So yeah, this really builds around Frost Armor and stuff. So yeah, like I said, Stasis is really a theme, or stuff like Prismatic centered around Stasis could be really good, like Bleak Watchers and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're thinking of kind of build crafting from this video, just something to keep in mind. Killing Breeze, rapid weapon final blows grant you a bonus to mobility. I'm curious how much this will be. If it's something like the Duality exotic Heart Shadow, when you go invis, you gain like really quick movement speed. So if it's something like that or amplified, then that could be decent. But overall, probably not running that one. Enhanced Ether Generator. So Dark Ether Reaper Origin trait has a chance to spawn an extra Dark Ether charge. So that will be the Origin trait on the new Revenant weapons. So weapons with Dark Ether Reaper Origin trait are overcharged when that modifier is active. So if you didn't know, that means even if you were using something like, say, an auto rifle, which doesn't have any of these mods, but it is from the new season, then as long as you're running this, it will be overcharged, so it'll be doing 25% more damage in activities like Nightfalls or whatever. And that goes for anything where it says overcharged with this. So Fell the Revenant, deal increased weapon damage to Scorn. Wearing Shadestalker armor increases the bonus damage, so I'm curious how much that increases. And we do have a new dungeon coming, and last time there was a new dungeon with Warlord's Ruin, there was one that increased damage to Taken. So yeah, that's interesting. Could be decent. And yeah, I'm not sure how much that bonus damage will be. Probably not worth farming out for armor pieces and messing up your already built, pre-built builds that have really good armor stats. But yeah, it all depends on that increase to bonus damage, but it's probably not going to be a whole bunch. Maybe like 1.5% per, so 1.5, 3, 4.5, and 6. But again, that's all speculation. Maybe 2.5% per, so maybe it goes up to like 10% increased damage, which isn't like, that's somewhat significant. But yeah, this is all just speculation on my part. Rapid Impacts, dealing damage with a grenade launcher temporarily increases the reload speed of grenade launchers. So yeah, I guess if you're building around GLs and just constantly reloading them, you could see in the gameplay, I picked a bad spot to go to, but they were shooting this new Stasis exotic. This is the one from the season pass, and it was reloading very quickly. Basically, it works like, of course I went to like the one gameplay where they're not shooting it constantly. Yeah, so they had rapid impacts ×3 on the side, and it reloads very quick. But yeah, this thing's basically like fighting Lion. You can see infinite ammo, so it's a primary ammo weapon, but it is an exotic, so pretty cool. Let's go to where I left off. Oh yeah, so here they show the overload breach loaded grenade launcher. So wind chill. So now we start getting into this new territory, which is kind of annoying to me. Again, I hate time gating or things that limit our build crafting. So I don't know how hard or easy getting volatile tonics will be and how long they last and things like that. But I'm really hoping that they're fairly plentiful, so that if I'm grinding some solo GM, I don't have to keep wasting volatile tonics or going to farm volatile tonics just to unlock the full power of these artifact mods. So yeah, jury's out on that one. We'll see how it is, but let's just look at the full perk. So rapid stasis weapon precision hits grant you a stack of frost armor. Again, this is going to pair really nicely with Wicked Implement. Rapid precision hits from weapons with Dark Ether Reaper origin trait grant you more stacks of frost armor. So again, that's the new weapons in Revenant, but it says rapid precision hits from weapons with Dark Ether Reaper. It doesn't say that they have to be stasis weapons, so I think it's an either or. This either works with stasis weapons or the new Revenant weapons, but I'll have to do some testing and figure that out. And then the boost, when you have this volatile tonic, is dealing stasis weapon damage to slowed targets has a chance to spawn a stasis shard. So yeah, you're just going to be making more shards, which gives you more frost armor if you're built into that. And I think they give melee energy stasis shards. So yeah, good way to build into melees and melee based builds. So Prismatic Titan looking really strong again with Syntheseps and Consecration. So concussive reload, using a grenade launcher to damage a boss, damage a champion, or break a combatant's shield weakens them. Boost, using grenade launchers to damage bosses, champions, or to break combatant shields automatically reloads stowed weapons. So this is very similar to way back in the day we had Breach and Clear. It was a 30% debuff. Weakens are now 15%. So this will be more than likely a 15% debuff, but if you have the boost, when you apply that debuff, again, this works on any boss or champion or just breaking a shield of an enemy, it will reload your weapons, which is nice for like damage rotations. And yeah, if you know me, you know I hate reloading. So yeah, concussive reload looking really strong, especially if you're using a grenade launcher based build, which they are definitely trying to build around this season. As you can see here, and there's a GL perk here, which I'll get to in a second. Just gonna speed this up because I don't know how long they stay here. So this is what was really annoying. They stay on this just because he's talking about it, but they could have been showing these other artifact mods. And like I said, we didn't get those two in the top right corner, which was very unfortunate. Crystalline Converter. Gather stasis shards to gain stacks of Crystalline Converter. Your next powered stasis melee hit creates stasis crystals equal to the number of stacks that you have. So basically, your stasis melee is going to make a bunch of stasis crystals. So say you had 5 stacks, you're going to make 5 stasis crystals. And then stasis crystals can give you melee energy back, so it really like feeds into itself. Stasis weapon final blows after activating your class ability spawn a stasis shard. So again, that'll be really nice for hunters, especially with a quick dodge cooldown. Total Carnage, after finishing a powerful combatant, gain temporary damage resist. And then again, this stacks up if you have the Shade Stalker armor pieces, but we don't know the damage resistance, and it replenishes health. So interesting, but again, honestly, pretty minor overall. There's probably better artifact mods you can be running, but if you do have like a finisher based build, especially like a Fellwinter's Helm Warlock, this will help you survive in endgame content. So yeah. Power from Pain. This one is sounding really strong. Rapid final blows against weakened combatants grant you Devour. Rapidly defeating weakened combatants spawns a Void Breach if you have the boost. So we all know Devour is one of the strongest verbs in the game, and this will make it much easier for Titans and Hunters to activate it, especially on something like Prismatic. So yeah. This could be very, very strong and allow you to really spam grenades if you can get Devour going. So I'm looking at Buried Bloodline, especially because it can weaken when you get Devour. But I guess you need to have a way to make Devour. But anyways, it's going to be very, very good. But yeah, I guess multiple kills with Buried Bloodline will give you Devour. And then when you have that, you're doing weakening. So yeah, Buried Bloodline, just super, super good in general, and it will pair really nicely with that one. Trace Evidence. Rapid precision hits or rapid final blows on targets affected by Jolt or Blind will generate ionic traces. Picking up an ionic trace grants an armor charge. So ionic traces are really, really good for ability spam builds. And then basically Jolt is really easy to apply with Volt Shot. It says targets affected by blind, which is much harder, but there is some upcoming artifact mods that do allow you to blind as well. And then ionic traces granting armor charge can be really, really strong. So again, depending on your build, this one could be really good. I just did a Crown of Tempest solo GM, and I was really impressed with it. So when I get my hands on all these, I will make that into a build video once I have all the artifact perks unlocked and can really play around with how these synergize. But yeah, that'll be really, really strong with that build in particular. But very easy, rapid precision hits or rapid final blows on targets affected by Jolt. So you can even just jolt something and then get a bunch of rapid precision hits. So really, really easy to make ionic traces, which feed your abilities and can provide armor charge. Armor of Aramis. While Frost Armor is active, taking critical damage from combatants causes you to emit a freezing burst. Increases the radius and strength of this freezing burst with the boost. So again, not great because that freezing burst, it depends how it's activated. If it can be activated at a distance, that's nice, but more than likely, it's a burst like, God, there was an old artifact mod that would like do some arc damage. But yeah, think of like Vesper of Radius and the arc pulses from the Rift. My guess is it's something like that. Or when you put down a Hoarfrost Z barricade and you make a little bit of slow when you put down that barricade. I'm thinking it comes from the character and not from the weapon while Frost Armor is active. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be too strong personally. Hail the Storm. So we had this in the past, so I'm just going to pull this over. So in the past, it was shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. And then shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. So this one was really nice in Season of the Wish, I believe it was. The season right before Final Shape. I really liked using it with my stasis builds. It was really strong. So now it says shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. Shattering frozen targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. So it still basically does the same thing, just kind of flip-flopped, where the boost is dealing increased damage, like you need the volatile tonic to boost it. Debilitating Wave. Finishers emit a damaging wave that matches the element of your currently equipped super. So while you have an Arc, Void, or Stasis super equipped, the blast will apply Blind, Weaken, and Slow. So Blind, I've talked about it in the past, is very, very strong. The thing holding it back is there's not too many great ways to trigger it. So this one will allow you to blind, which is really nice. And then you can also apply Weaken, which is very strong, and Slow from Stasis, which isn't quite as strong, but still, it's nice. So that one's not too bad. Concussive Reload we talked about. Retinal Burn. Rapid arc weapon precision hits consume an armor charge to blind the target. So you do have to have armor charge, but it will blind the target. And then with the volatile tonic boost, blinding a target this way instead emits a blinding burst. So you can spread burst just by landing rapid precision hits with an arc weapon, so long as you have armor charge. So again, pretty strong. Kinetic Impact. Sustained damage with a power grenade launcher causes the combatant to emit a shockwave that damages nearby combatants. So this really sounds like Kinetic Tremors, but for heavy GLs. Yeah, and then the shockwave can stun unstoppable champions, but you're probably not going to want to dump a bunch of GL ammo into an unstop just to stop it, because they take like 70% less damage when they're not stunned. But it is a way to stun them if you wanted. And it does specify power grenade launcher, so I'm guessing this doesn't work with breach grenade launchers, but again, we'll have to test it and see. So really, it comes down to how many shots does it take. If it's anything more than 2, it's not overly worth it for stunning unstops in my opinion, but you do you. Served Cold. picking up a Stasis shard grants you class ability energy. So again, we're making Stasis shards like crazy. And then you're going to be getting lots of class ability energy. So something like a Phoenix Dive Warlock with Hellion, and you're out there making a bunch of Stasis shards. Yeah, that's got some nice synergy. Yeah, obviously anything built around class ability is going to be really good with this one. And then picking up a Void Breach grants you melee energy. And Stasis shards can grant you melee energy already. And then Void Breach normally grants class ability energy. So they kind of just switch. I'm guessing they synergize with what these already do. So when you pick up a Void Breach, it's going to give class and melee energy. And same with the Stasis shard, it'll give class and melee energy. This just makes them dual purpose, is my guess. Conductive Cosmic Crystal, your arc abilities, void abilities, and weapons with Dark Ether Reaper origin trait do bonus damage to targets that are affected by a Stasis debuff. So again, Bleak Watchers are looking really, really good. And especially on Prismatic Warlock, because their Transcendence Grenade is void. And then it's also Stasis, but yeah. And then your arc abilities, so you could pair it with something like the Lightning Surge, the Electric Slide, and it would make it do more damage. So yeah, depending on how much it buffs it, that could be good. And again, the Dark Ether Reaper origin trait. So any of those weapons will be doing increased damage. So again, that could be pretty strong. And then increased bonus damage to combatants affected by Stasis debuff. So we don't know what that bonus damage increase is, but that could be good. And unfortunately, here is where they cut away, which is really annoying. Look, they take a long time to load up the artifact while he's talking. And then just as they do, they cut away to this guy. So unfortunately, I can't show you the last ones, but we can speculate it's something with Stasis and something with Void. And that was pretty much how everything was. This was Void, Stasis, Stasis. I believe this was Stasis, Stasis and Void, and then a few little arc ones, like with some Blind and Jolt synergy and whatever. So they're looking at being an Arc, Void, and Stasis artifact next season. Really no Solar synergy and no Strand synergy. I'm a little bit sad about Strand because I've been wanting to make a build centered around using Euphony, but there's been nothing to synergize with Threadlings or anything like that. So yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Maybe next episode, or maybe in Act 2 and Act 3. But anyways, I hope this breakdown was helpful. Hope it gave you some things to theory craft with and get some builds in mind ready. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. Let me know if you want me to do some preview builds, or you'd rather wait for me to make the builds when these are out, because I don't mind doing preview builds. But once the episode launches, I will be very busy with all the testing, getting ready for day 1 dungeon. So if I do wait, those build videos wouldn't come for like at least a week. But yeah, on the surface, I don't like this artifact as much as this past season. This past season was a really strong artifact. I loved it. This one's definitely looking toned down a bit, for better or worse. But yeah, that was the artifact preview, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Take care.